What's up, everybody? Back here in the RT Machine studio for episode number 24. This is a special episode today. We have a couple guests here from Friulmac, USA. We'll go around the room quick, just tell you, who's in the room, and then
we always
get
do
rolling.
Who's in the room?
This
Ron's
is Eric.
here.
This is Eric speaking.
Eric's
by the way, I
talking,
forgot that last time.
Ron's talking over top of him. So
Oh, good. Can I get in on a little?
Yeah,
talk
you can
over
get in on
you
that.
too? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is Joe with Friulmac USA talking over Ron.
Yep. Got Cody here, RT Machine.
Chris with Friulmac.
You got Ryan as well.
Dean's here too.
Dino the Great Bambino.
yeah, Dino.
So let's dive right into it.
Yeah, we got a kind of a special project and announcement that we're making, and we might as well kick it off right here. We're going to start working with the Friulmac people, and well, we are working with you now, but we're going to start being the importer of the Select line of
Select line.
Friulmac Select, we're going to call it. And I can let Joe elaborate on that a little bit and what we're going to be doing. But we'll be the importing agent, so to speak, and distributing it across North America.
Correct.
And you can tell them what machines we're talking about, particularly.
Yeah, basically it'll be our standard machines that are kind of our bread and butter that we've been making for many years, but kind of a focused process so that we can build in larger numbers to hit certain price points. Also keep machines in stock. So we're talking in the beginning. We're talking about the molder feeders, which is our dual feed line. Coping machines, which is for your kitchen cabinet or entry door cope machines, would be the contour mat line, and then we also have flooring and cabinet machines in our Randomat series. Different configurations, but basically the machines that's been our bread and butter mainstay for a while at Friulmac, but to be more competitive and be more on the market, we felt like we needed to have machines in stock instead of waiting the longer lead times that have been more a problem in the last few years. And also by doing that, we're able to hit better price points. So we're kind of excited about what we're going to be able to bring to the market. And we're excited about the partnership with RT because we've had a long working relationship, not only in sales, but also service support. And also you guys have been so kind to let us use this warehouse for a number of years also.
Right.
So this just gets us to the next level of, I think it's going to be a good partnership with RT, with Friulmac, but more importantly, it's going to be a good opportunity for sales and support for our customer base and give them a more hands-on focused approach on these particular product lines. So this is a pretty exciting day for us to get this put to bed, and finally we finally got all the handshakes made and the babies kissed and all that kind of stuff.
Crossed our T's and dotted our I's.
So now we got the key to the city, and let's go.
Let's go to work. Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody together help me. Cody's kind of going to pick this up and run with it. So if we can all in a unified voice tell him what his job is get out and get to work. we can say that on the count of three. One, two, three. Get out and get to work.
Look, Cody's leaving. No, Cody, stay. We want to finish the podcast first.
About 10 minutes ago, Cody goes, Joe, you just need to point me in the right direction, and I'll take it from there. And Joe and I both pointed at the door.
We hate to see you go, but we can use the room.
It's an exciting new opportunity, so I'm very much so looking forward to working with and for Friulmac to sell more machinery.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good deal.
It's going to be a good deal. Absolutely. So I think the last podcast you had talked a little bit when Sergio was here, that Friulmac, just so everybody knows, does basically end work. I mean, you don't mold, you don't do moldings and linear work. You do the end work, coping and end matching and tenoning and stuff like that.
Yeah, everything for the end processing is our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
We do other things, but the thing that we do best is anything to do with end processing, whether it's joinery, so whether it would be tongue and groove for flooring, whether it's tenoning for furniture, or coping and sticking for kitchen cabinets. And we have a product line to do. Basically, if it's a kitchen cabinet, we can do the whole cabinet from the sides, fronts, bays, face frames.
Right.
But our primary function is we do in work, and then we partner and match up well with other pieces of equipment that do lineal and
Right.
and other things. So, and we offer products across. Solid wood has always been our specialty, but we do have machines that cross over also into the panel side.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we have a pretty wide offering.
You do a lot of custom machinery.
We do some custom machinery, and that's kind of what's made this partnership such a great deal. Is sometimes when you're focused on trying to chase that custom machine, you lose sight of actually what makes you money and makes you
Standard,
made
yeah.
your name.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dual feed is kind of special to us. It was one of the first machines we built over 69 years ago now.
Is that right?
It was basically a molder feeder to double and trim the parts before feeding them into the molder, which gives you all the advantages of, instead of having 4 people in the process, you have 2, because now you have the machines coupled together. In the days molding, one of the problems a lot of people deal with is snap or parts being chipped or something, and so this allowed the parts to be perfectly butt fed with a ribbon, increased the quality, increased the tool life, a lot of different advantages, and so that was kind of what made our company 69 years, and then from that it grew to everything else. So, and ironically enough, that machine still is one of our best sellers this long. I mean, a few things have changed.
Right.
A few
Yeah.
color schemes have changed and a few other things, but it's still, it's kind of funny. I was out in a little Amish shop out in Indiana, and I saw a machine that they had actually bought from Europe before Friulmac USA ever existed.
Oh yeah.
Is a 1978 model, which
Green.
yeah, I was still in school back then. So that was a day or two before I came.
Yeah. Right. Huh.
But it was kind of nice to see, and it's still running. It was a old ugly green, and
Yeah.
but
So everything was painted back then. Right?
yeah,
Yeah, all the old school machinery manufacturers were obsessed with painting it green.
Yeah. Now it's white, right?
yeah, that's why.
For the most
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
I guess I never got a straight answer on that, but people say the green was just because it, you didn't really notice when it got dirty, I guess, which the white really shows the dirt.
Yeah, yeah. They don't stay white very long.
Yeah, I don't really know what the green was about. It just maybe started that way, and everybody just
Maybe
thought that was the way to do it. But
probably green was on sale and everybody bought it.
yeah, it could be. I remember when I worked at Carpenters, we used to repaint machines in the shop. It was always that shit green. And it's like, everybody loved it. I don't know.
Yeah, it matches. Maybe it's the color of money. It just matches.
Yeah, there you
everything.
go. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Machinery dealers all like money.
Yeah,
There's a used machinery guy down south that still paints his stuff. It's more like the John Deere color, but if, he also doesn't tape anything off. He'll just
electrical cabinets and all.
Yeah. Tables.
Right over
everything
the
gets
buttons.
green. Yeah. Just get it all green.
Well, John Deere green's a very convenient color to just go pick up at the hardware store.
right.
That it is.
So, Joe, tell us a little bit about your background. We always like to get everybody gets on here. We like to find out how you got started and what you're doing. And back in the day, got out of high school or college. How did you get started?
Yeah, basically, I mean, I like to quote Steve Martin sometime in The Jerk. I was raised a poor black child. But it's funny, but it's not far from the truth. I grew up, Dad left when I was about 12, so I grew up in a single family home. Mom raised 5 of us.
Oh,
So it was, got up through high school. And, of course, when you grow up like that, college ain't quite at the top of the list. Getting out there working and making money.
yeah, I imagine so. Yeah.
So we actually started working when I was 12 in a gas station, and I mowed yards. I had a bicycle and a lawnmower tied to the back, and I'd ride around town and mow yards and stuff like that just to help the family out. But then I guess I was 17, and I was senior in high school, 2 credits to graduate, and I figured out that I needed to make some money, so I just, screw it. I didn't go back my senior year. I went to work instead. And I was 17, so I was too young to run any machinery. So I did roofing.
You were old enough to get up on a roof.
Yeah,
and
I could climb.
chance falling off.
Yeah, I could climb a ladder and put shingles on.
Wow.
I couldn't run a woodworker machine.
Wow.
And then right before my 18th birthday, had one of our coworkers that was on the roof with us. He went to this woodworking shop, and he come to me. He goes, "Damn, guys, you're not going to believe it. They got this job. You can work when it rains, so you don't miss work. And look at my clothes. I get to wear blue jeans and a T-shirt, and I'm not filthy and nasty. And I went, damn, that sounds pretty nice. So I went in and just newly married and all that kind of stuff. And we, at that time, I already had a baby on the way. After I was married, by the way, she's, and decided that I needed to have an inside job that I could get paid for 40 hours instead of 2 or 3 days a week. So, so I went to work at a company called Cranford Wood Carving.
Okay.
And they hired me $3.35 an hour and work in the warehouse. So I went out there and worked in the warehouse, and I've always been the kind of guy I'm kind of hyper, and I don't like just doing one thing. So I'd hurry up and do my job, and then I'd run over in the rough end, and I'd have somebody teach me how to do different jobs. So by the time I was 19 years old, I'd run every machine in the factory, including the carving machines, the spindle routers, flutter sanders, the whole thing. And so I'd got to that point, and I'd still go back there and do my job in shipping and go learn that. But back it up a minute. I was about a year into it, and I hadn't got a raise yet. So I'm sitting there going, damn, how long do you have to work for a place? I mean, it's my first time ever working in a factory.
Yeah, right.
So I'm saying, damn, how long do you have to work? So the owner of the company come by, and his son was kind of running it, but his dad comes through, and he asked me how I like my job, and I'm going, I really like it a lot, but, I wouldn't mind learning something else or doing one of these other jobs that pay a little bit more money because, I got a baby now, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it on $3.35 an hour. And he goes, what? How much they pay you? So he goes, I'm going to fix that. So he goes in and he tells his son, so I get a nickel raise on my next paycheck.
Oh.
But back then, it put you in a different tax bracket. So I took back $3 a week less on my paycheck than I did.
Yes.
So on Monday morning, I walk into Terry Cranford's office, and I said, Terry, thank you for the raise. I appreciate it, but could you take that back off? I said, because I can't afford this one. I said, can you just save it till you can afford
the raise.
Could you save it up till you can afford a little bit more? And his dad looks at him and goes, how much raise did you give him? I said, well, I gave him a nickel. And I won't say the words just for his memory because both of them have gone on now, but he basically looked at him and said, you tight bastard. So I got $1 raise.
Hey, now.
And then, so he raised me up $1, and then Jesse walked back out there, and I guess I must have impressed him, and I went up there and talked to his son like that. So he asked me, so what do you do? And I kind of told him. And then he knew that I was, he'd found out I was from a single mom home, and dad had left and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's when it happened or whatever, but he kind of took me under his wing.
Oh, yeah?
And he started teaching me everything in business. So in 20, he made me a kind of a department lead over a sanding room. And the first job he gave me was over 30 women in a sanding room.
Oh, boy.
And, not to be sexist or anything, so all the people listening to this, don't hate on RT for bringing me on this, but it was a learning experience the least. I'm a teenager sitting here trying to learn about 30 women at once.
Yeah, right.
And I still hadn't figured my wife out yet.
Well, I bet they took advantage of you.
So it was. So anyway, we were successful, and we continued to move up. And then at 21, they gave me my first plant. I was a plant manager of a small division. And then just stayed with the company for a number of years and wound up being general manager. And we had 8 facilities and about 350 employees.
Wow.
At that time. So we kind of just grew up in it. So it's like didn't really know you were doing more. You just picked up another job and just keep doing it. It kind of grew up that way. But he really took an interest and made sure I knew how to do it. And he was always a hands-on guy. So I never was the manager that would sit in the office. I always stayed on the floor. I drove the forklift and moved material. I went out, I talked to every person. I knew who they were. I cleaned toilets if they needed to be cleaned. I moved shit wherever it needed to be moved.
Right.
And stuff like that. So, that's what he taught me. So I've always been that way. But it's kind of funny. But before he died, I went to see him, visit him and his wife and stuff, after they had sold the company by then. And I asked him, I said, I just don't understand. I appreciate everything you did for me. And he's the one that's responsible for all the wood knowledge I have now. Mm-hmm. I said, but really thank you, but why me? All these snot-nosed kids running around and you picked me. Why? He said, you had something nobody else I could teach. He said, you actually gave a shit. He said, everybody else is here for a paycheck and you cared.
Huh.
So he felt like he could invest his
Picked up-
time in
he
it. So that's
picked
what he
that
told
up.
me. And
Yeah, nice.
so then I had to ask the second question. I said, okay, I said, but why did you put me in that first job with all them women all by myself? Because he left me. He said, go get them, Tiger. And he left
He just walked away.
And he just grinned real big. He said, son, I figured out if you could do that, they wasn't nothing I could ever ask you to do. You couldn't handle. But yeah, we just grew up with it, and the company got sold. And of course, I was with that company for 17 years, and then I went to work for when you and I met.
All right.
I went to work for Wally Haynes at Master Carvers.
Right.
He had recruited me heavily for, gosh, damn near a year.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I don't know if I should tell the story of how I actually went to work for him or not, but long story short, he would call me 3 days a week, same time every week, and you knew Wally well.
Oh, yeah,
he
Wally
would wear
was
you down.
persistent,
He
yeah.
would wear you down and wear you down. So finally, I went and interviewed for the job, and I made such an outlandish request. I doubled my salary. I asked for company cars and phones. You remember he had the vacation houses in Florida.
Yeah.
I asked for that. Asked for this.
Wanted to use the house.
Yeah. I said I need all this stuff, and I figured he's gonna tell me to get the hell out. He said, "Can you start Monday?" And I went, "Oh shit!"
That didn't work.
So we worked there until that closed, and so then I was out of once
You should tell
MasterCard.
some more Wally stories.
Oh
about
my God, that would be a
What
long
about the time you walked out on him?
Oh.
You quit.
Wally
he
had a
chased you down the road.
yeah.
That's a good story.
Yeah, Wally had a reputation. He had a hot temper.
Oh, yes, he did.
My God, I mean, he would blow up on anybody at any time. So when we started to work there, I'd already been warned that, hey, are you sure you want to work for that guy? Because he's kind of an asshole. No, he's not kind of. He really is an asshole. And I go, okay, I can do this. So I sat there and talked. I said, look, I hear this, and he gets all sheepish because he's the kindest, most generous guy you
he's-
could meet.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a switch that would turn.
Yep.
And he just go completely, his face would turn red, and he just go crazy.
See, I never saw that side, of
Yeah.
it, but I heard.
Oh my God! So I told him, I said, I understand you're kind of like this, and it was one of the deals before I agreed to come to work. I said, look, I said, I'm not above ass chewing. I said, because I'm going to screw up just like anybody else. But if you want me to manage these people for you, if I screw up, you bring me in the office and you can chew my ass out all day long. I don't care, but don't do it in front of my people. So he agreed and said, and he did that. He held to that pretty good. There was a couple times he'd get upset. He'd walk in the office and come in here. And then he'd say something, and then we'd move on. And this one particular time, we were doing some work for Henry Don for a show. Of course, we're always against the gun. We're always late at showtime. So we're out there doing something, and something didn't set right with him or something. I don't forget what. I'm in the sanding room, and he just loses his shit in front of everybody. And I just looked at him, and I had the keys to the car, keys to the factory in my pocket. I just took them and flipped them up in the air. And he caught them in his hand. I said, see you, dude. And I walked out the side door. I didn't even go to my office because I didn't have anything in there. I worked I worked at the plant. I didn't give a shit about my office. I walked out, and it dawned on him. As soon as he did it, you could see the look in his face. Oh, shit. And so he come out, and I was walking up the parking lot. I'm headed to the intersection. He starts chasing me, Joe. And I'm going, what? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't answer him. And we walk probably a half a mile. And he's behind me screaming, and I hear him start to run, and I just pick up the pace. So, and Wally was kind of a short guy. So I had the stride on him. So he kept screaming and screaming and screaming. I'm sorry. I know I fucked up. I'm sorry. And he finally got close enough to me, and I stopped. And I said, okay. I said, that's one. I said, there won't be a two. But he come out, he put his arm around me. Thank you, I'm so sorry.
And walked you right back.
Walked me all the way back.
Yeah.
But,
I'll tell another quick Wally story.
yeah.
And this might offend some people, but whatever. I was out to dinner with Larry Leapgott and Ian Leapgott, and that was before IRS. We were selling machinery at Carpenter's. So we're out to dinner, and Ian was very new to the company, or back to the company. He had gone off to California or something. So we're sitting there, and Wally started telling a story about how he sold, or how he bought his house. He bought it from this couple who got a divorce. And I don't know, we're asking questions and why they got a divorce or whatever. He said, well, this guy came home from work one day, and his wife was in the bed, not with another man, but with another woman. And he got upset, and they got divorced, and that's how Wally bought his house. And I looked at him just as straight as an arrow and said, I would have just joined in. And Wally's just like, his eyes got real big, and Larry's like, holy shit. And then we just kind of moved on, and then Ian went to go to the bathroom, and Larry looked at Wally and he said, you got to excuse him. He just came back from California. That was great.
That was fun times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but since you know Wally, the way he shut his factory down in North Carolina wasn't that great for me.
Right.
I'd worked for him now at three years, and he was losing money hand over fist before 2000. And we'd actually got things turned around, and I won't waste time telling about how that happened, but we got them to where they were finally profitable after bleeding money. He was losing at one time $46,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, we got it turned around. We got the blood stopped, and we were actually starting to make a profit. And then, of course, the market's changing during this time too. So
right.
I kind of,
right.
looking back on it, I forgive it. But
right.
I apologize in advance for saying this, but I thought he was the biggest son of a bitch that walked the way he shut the factory down. But later on, I've kind of, through much therapy and lots of drinking and things like that, I finally said, okay, well, maybe he had to do that. But we, we'd worked there and got things running around, and we had a bunch of work to do for Ethan Allen during the 4th of July vacation. And then so he got me to get a crew together to get all that stuff out so we could get paid. And we'd already been factoring invoices before.
Yeah, I remember him talking.
If you remember doing that,
yeah.
Basically you take whatever you ship that week, you take the invoice to the bank, and they give you a percentage of the money for cash flow.
Right.
So he'd been doing that for a while, which is a huge red flag. I'm going, this is not good.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, he had got through that. So he took off and was supposed to go back to New York. And said, so he took off back to the New York Jamestown facility. We'd worked through the 4th of July and stuff. So he calls me up on July the 10th. He goes, hey, Joe, I know we're getting ready to go back to work tomorrow. And we used to have a couple programmers for our CNC carving machines that would come in at 9 because they'd work for second shift. They'd work into the night.
Right.
So he said, I need all these guys to be there Monday morning, and he's talking about how well we did during the 4th and what a great quarter we had ended in June, and he's telling me all this stuff about how proud he was, and so he had me bring everybody in. So July 10th, we all walk in, we meet in the break room, and he walks in with Corky Upchurch, who I knew was the banker of Bank of Granite, and he walked in and had 2 big security guard guys, about Cody's size that I'd never met before, and I'm going, what the hell is this?
Yeah, right.
So he stands up in front of everybody and he goes, guys, got some bad news. Said, we've shut the company down, and this is the Bank of Granite. We've turned everything over to them, and these 2 guys here are here. You can get your personal belongings, but everything else belongs to the company. Leave it here, and they're going to check your boxes on the way out the door. If you don't mind, you got about an hour or less. You need to be gone because we're getting ready to padlock the door.
Wow.
Well, I got the company car. I got all this stuff. Well, shit, I have to leave it there. I have to walk up. I had to finish the walk I started with Wally.
Right. Yeah.
I had the same walk, but I had to go all the way to the phone booth.
Wow.
But so, without going into the rest of the story, basically that's how he shut North Carolina down, was like basically insurance had been canceled in June. So it was a, I don't know if I can say the F word on here, but I would if I could. It was totally fucked up. So anyway, that's how I got out of the wood business after a 20-year career in the wood side. So I was out of work for about a year. Now, Bank of Granite came back to me. They hired me to kind of sort through all the shit that was there. Because we had a lot of inventory, customers' materials, tooling, because they were trying to recover any money they could. So,
right.
So they hired me for about 3 months. And then after that, I was
after
on
the
market.
Auction, done.
And then this is 2001. July 2001, and probably everybody on this podcast knows what happened on September 11th, 2001. So our whole nation changed, and I basically went for a year without working.
Wow.
So I was just doing side jobs, roofing again, cutting trees, cleaning toilet, whatever you had to do to keep a family fed. And then, so Friulmac, actually one of the guys that used to be my engineer had got a job at Friulmac when he left us. And so he was getting ready to go to work for another company. And he said, I don't know if it's got to be interesting, but maybe you ought to call him. And after a year, I'd been looking for work. I finally got a job on the 9th, a year later. I went to a job, a carpet rental place where you drive these trucks around and you put these rugs down in these convenience stores.
Oh, yeah.
Take them back
Yeah,
up
sure.
and you go
Clean 'em.
launder them and
Yeah,
take them
yeah.
back. So that was, because I'd lied on my resume about all my woodworking stuff because, you're a GM. Nobody wants, that's my kid's job or we don't need that. And then I started lying about what experience I had. I started taking shit off.
Right,
Yeah,
right, because
so
you had too much experience, they wouldn't hire you.
Yeah, I just, let me run a machine or something. But, anyway, I wound up doing this. And so the guy agreed to give me this job. And I wasn't sure if that was for me because that's hard. If anybody's ever done it, that's a hard-ass job. So I told him, I said, well, let me work for you for free for the first day. See if it's going to work out for you, for me. So I did, and I hated it, but I went, I got to have money. So I took the job, and then that night, Stefano Zampari, who was the president of Friulmac USA at the time, he calls my house at 7 o'clock and goes, hey, I got your name from this guy that used to work for you. We've got an opening, think you might fit in. Would you like to come interview for it? I said, well, yeah, if you don't mind. So I'm trying to set it up after my first real day at my new job. And he goes, no, I'm sorry, I'm flying back to Italy tomorrow at 10. I need to meet you at 7:30 in the morning or deal's off. And I'm sitting there going, fuck. I said, I finally got a job after a year.
Now I'm going to be late.
I already told the guy I was going to work for him. I don't even know this guy. So I wrestled all night. I didn't sleep at all trying to figure out, do I go to this interview and not go to my job or what do I do? So since I'm talking to you, you kind of know the decision I'm making.
Yeah, right.
I didn't really want to be the carpet guy anyway.
Yeah, I bet.
So I went in and interviewed with him, hired me on the spot, and they made me a sales guy, covered the southeast area. And I'd never sold a piece of equipment in my life. I'd bought a bunch. I knew you. We'd done some stuff together, and so I'd bought some and run a bunch of it, but I never had sold a piece of equipment in my life, and I'm scared shitless. I'm going, these guys are going to figure I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to fire me in like 60 days. I'm going to be back begging for the carpet guy to put me back to work. But no, they hired me, and so I started just traveling. My training process was interesting back then. I don't know how you do it today, but I can tell you how they did it over 20 years ago. They said, here's the price book. This is the area you need to cover. Here's the keys to the car, and I'm moving to Italy. Good luck.
That's the ultimate throwing in the water,
Take it to water,
sink
run
or
out and
swim, right?
That's it. So that's how it happened.
Yeah.
But now we started. Now I've been, like I said, over 20 years, and been really happy with the decision. But the thing I think that helped me by being ignorant was I didn't know how to talk about gearboxes and bearings and belts and all the things that as metalheads we like talking about. But I knew sawdust and I knew application. So all I talk to the customer and go, hey,
What do you want to do?
yeah, I'd see the issue because I knew I'd run it. So I'd see the problem in sawdust and I go, hey, have you thought about this? And we'd talk about application. Never talked about, still today I don't talk too much about it. But you go in there and talk about the application, and we were successful immediately, and just really blessed. I'd like to think I'm so smart and so great that the reason I'm successful is that. But the truth is, I had an old guy that saw something in me when I was a kid. That so he took an interest in me and mentored me, taught me about woodworking, taught me about business, told me about that. And then I had a guy that took a chance on me because he wanted to move back to Italy. So they kind of gave me rein. So I sold for Friulmac for 9 months, and my numbers were, I'm proud to say, they were pretty damn good.
Yeah, good.
And so they asked me because they knew I'd been a GM of the company before. So they asked me to take over the general manager role at Friulmac. Mm-hmm. And then from then on, it's I hadn't got fired yet. So,
Yeah.
Maybe after this podcast, you guys might have fucked me over. And I might be
once they hear this, you never know, right?
Yeah, they find out how inexperienced I really was.
We won't send a link to Sergio.
Well, that's kind of how it all happened.
That was kind of interesting. You always told us that in the beginning, you sold the dual feeds and random at ease and stuff, and that's what we find a lot of them up in this area because you didn't know about double antennas and stuff.
I was totally intimidated by the big projects.
Right.
So I learned 3 machines: is our dual feed, contour mat, and random ID, which ironically enough is what this partnership's about.
Exactly. Yeah.
You guys are going to go back to my roots and
Yeah.
actually sell the equipment
Yeah.
that made the company who it is.
Right.
But I knew those 3, and I was terrified of the others. So all I did was I looked for projects that would fit in those 3 machines that I knew, and that's all I talked about. And all the other stuff, I had Stefano's phone number. You need to talk to this guy. And then he would do all the technical stuff, but I just kept banging away. And,
Right.
I found Jeff Davison at Whining really helped me a lot too in the beginning because, we'd done a lot of stuff with Whining and
Yeah.
was a Whining partner forever. In fact, the very
Right.
first machines we bought, Sergio told you in his podcast how they got with Whining and how they grew up. So I went down and talked to Jeff Davison, and he told me what I needed to do to work with them and how I needed to work with the dealer network and stuff. So I remember him walking down the stairs, almost like when Trump announced he was going to be president. Jeff Davison walks down the stairs at their Mooresville showroom and says, "Hey, guys, this guy's Joe Hammock. He's with Friulmac, and they're one of our technical partners, and you guys are allowed to work with him," which was a big deal. That was like the blessing of the dawn.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that I was able to now travel. So
No, Whining you didn't sell through the Whining company.
no, we were a separate company, but we were able to sell with Whining.
Okay.
So,
So he was allowing the dealers
was allowing
to
their
take their
dealers
time
to work with
to
me.
sell your stuff.
And it was kind of cool because I'd actually owned a lot of their product. I probably knew more of their product line than I did mine, to be honest. And so we started traveling. One of my first sales calls was a guy in Georgia. I won't call out his name just to protect him in case he's listening. but he had sold this ripsaw, and customers agreed that he would pay for the ripsaw and take delivery of it if it could rip a glue joint. And it had to be on an RF press. So he gets all the samples. So he tells me, "I know we're traveling together, but I got to do some work for Whining first, and we'll go start making some calls for you." So we go into this shop, and he brings all these samples out, wrapped them up, and the guy put them on the press. First run through, they just fell apart, just like it wasn't even glued. And, of course, the agent's face just lost color. But the press he had was one that I had also at my shop. So I knew how to set it up. I knew everything about it. So I looked over at him. I said, "Do you mind if I set this machine? Because they've got it set wrong for what you're doing now." And he looked at me, "Oh, yeah. So I go over and I made the adjustments from the machine, and the next one came through perfect, next one perfect. The guy just smiled, and he handed him his check, and he goes, "Boy, I bet you're glad you brought that guy." So immediately he goes out, and I don't know if you know how the dealer network works like this, but he got on the phone before we left the parking lot. He'd already called like 10 guys, and man, this guy saved my
you
ass.
need to take this guy with you.
So I became famous all of a sudden. But that's kind of how it all happened for me. But it's just been a good ride, and like I said, now it's kind of cool for me as a dad. Fast forward, just like you, is I get to bring my son into business now. Both my sons work with us,
Right.
and so it's the next generation now, because I never thought I'd get here, but I'm the old fart now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm the guy that
How about it?
these guys don't know anything. and now, I'm
Amazing how fast that happens.
Yeah,
All of a
it's
sudden, you're the
crazy.
old guy.
I just finally got to figure out what the hell I'm doing, and now it's time to quit. so
Hopefully, we can give these guys a faster pace on that.
Chris is in here with us now, but he's getting a firsthand experience of what's going on, and he kind of lived through all those crazy days. He didn't know all the stories, but he knew Daddy was broke and out here.
Oh, I knew.
doing all this. So he lived through that year of being out of work. So I think
I bet.
it's one of those things that either break you or bring you closer together. And I think we became a closer family during that time. So,
That's awesome.
So besides that, I got nothing else for you.
So, Chris, tell us what your background is a little bit. You didn't come right out of school into the company, obviously.
Not really. No, I went to UNCW, UNCA. I was going for accounting, didn't like it, and then
Can't blame you there.
yeah, and so I was kind of lost there for a little bit. I was just working odd jobs, as waiting tables, stuff like that, and then he just went through a lot of he had to fire a few people because of some discrepancies with their behavior at the time. So he needed some help, and we were in the transit of moving warehouses. So I was doing all the backbreaking, moving all their parts and stuff.
I needed a mule.
So that was one thing I was good at.
Trying to save your back.
Yeah. So I helped process of moving all our spare parts to a new warehouse. Got everything labeled, situated, and then he started traveling more, and he started trusting me that I could actually help out more too. So I just started picking up the odd jobs, started transferring all the phone calls to my cell phone so nothing would fall through the cracks. And then eventually I started getting to know all the customer base, what they needed, and they started getting in contact with me for spare parts when their machines came down. I helped them try to figure out what they need, and then that's where we are at now. And now we're transitioning, and I don't know shit about the machinery. I've never, I haven't seen it ran.
No part numbers.
Yeah, I haven't seen it ran much, but I have seen some videos and stuff, and then so I'm trying to pick up the next process. So that's where I am right now, and I'm glad that he was able to bring me along. And so obviously to meet all you guys, and then hopefully me and Cody can work together well in the coming years. And
Yeah, and I think your plans of the future is him to start doing the special projects, the bigger project with you.
Yeah.
So he'll have to start traveling with you, I would assume, eventually, right?
Yeah, eventually. I want him to be able to support this venture and where whatever's needed on that, and then one day hopefully he can take over for me and take over my frequent flyer account.
Right.
let's hope for it. Tired of sending back complaints.
The more you're around it and the more you see it, the easier it'll be to pick up. I mean, it's not something that's going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the one encouraging thing for anybody on this podcast should be if this guy can do it, any damn body can.
there you go.
I had no skills to bring to the table. It's just, the one thing that I think I've done fairly well, I'm proud of, is I outworked most people. I actually showed up and I gave a shit.
Yeah.
That's my secret ingredient is.
When you give a shit, it sinks in.
It
you
sinks
learn.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never in my life been a person that worked 8 to 5 or 7 to 3:30. A clock never meant anything to me. The project meant something. So
Right.
if I'm done with it, whatever time I'm done with it. And I grew up in the time I was raised when you look a man in the eye, you shake his hand.
Yep.
That's it.
Right.
And you tell the truth. And I'm not smart enough to lie a whole lot because I don't remember it. So
Yeah, right. That's
I got to
too.
come in and it's just the way it is, good or bad.
Yep.
And I never ran from problems. I was kind of stupid like that. I just run headlong into them and try to solve them.
Sure.
And it served me well because I found out the bigger the problem, the more people will pay to solve it. So I'm going, I need to look for big problems.
Oh, and I'll agree with you 100%. Instead of running away, you're better off going head first at it.
Yeah.
I have bad news for customers. I prefer to go tell them in person as opposed to being on the phone or copping out and sending an email saying, hey, this is delayed or we got this issue or whatever. You're better off telling them in person and getting your ass chewing in, or maybe they're understanding. It's hard to say. So
My absolute preference is not to have to deal with it. If we didn't have the problem to start with,
Yeah,
if we
right.
do, I think it kind of shows your mettle how you deal with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because we all have colleagues, and even in this industry, that I'm glad they have jobs because it makes sure the rest of us are still going to be employed for a while.
Yeah, right. Well, I think I want to get Joe to tell the story about his concrete in his trunk.
Oh my God!
It's my favorite story.
Have you heard this one, Cody?
I have. Okay.
You've probably not heard
I've
it.
never heard this.
Oh my God!
This is a good one.
Well, you guys know that Friulmac is an Italian company, and there are stereotypes around Italian companies. I'll leave that to everybody's imagination on the call.
Huh.
But I'm working in an office. One of the parts of the job I have sometimes is you have to make collection calls because, believe it or not, some people don't pay their bills on time. But we've been really fortunate. But we've not had to write off very many. We're always able to collect. But I had a friend of mine come walking in the door, and he overheard me making a phone call. And so he sits in the hallway, and he hears me, when can we expect payment? And they work it out, and they pay and all that stuff. So he goes, hey, I bet that's fun. I said, nah, it ain't that fun, but it's not that bad. I mean, you got to get paid. And he goes, well, what do you do if they don't pay? I went, well, they always pay. What are you talking about? He goes, nah, man, everybody don't pay. I said, dude, I'm telling you, everybody pays. He starts laughing. He goes, nah. Well, you have to turn them over to collection agents. I said, dude, you're not hearing me. Everybody fucking pays. I said, this is an Italian company. They're not going to not pay. And he goes, well, what do you do? I said, well, if I have to, I make the phone calls you just heard. If I have to, I keep 2 bags of concrete in the trunk of my car in case I have to come maybe make a pair of shoes for him. And he looking at me joking, and I'm not smiling. I'm looking at him just like straight. I said, dude, I ain't kidding. If you don't believe me, go check. So I take the keys of my car, I flip them up and put them in his hand. I go look. Well, what he didn't know is that weekend before, me and my wife had done some work around the house, and we had poured some concrete fillers for a little patio we were building, and I had a couple bags left over. I was supposed to, at the end of the day, I'm taking it back to Lowe's to give them back and get my money. But it was like perfect timing to set this thing up. I couldn't have planned. So he comes walking out, and he opens up the trunk of the car, and sure as hell, there's 2 bags of concrete. And he's looking at me going, and his face, I still see it today. His face just totally died. And he comes over and goes, Joe, man, I said, I love you, brother. We've been friends for a long time. Man, you need to get another job. Somebody gonna fuck you up, man. Somebody gonna mess you up. Then I finally had to break down to tell him, but it was the funniest damn thing to see.
Oh, that's good.
You're quick with those stories. They're coming up with stuff like that. That's funny.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
There's a couple more I want to hear, but I hate to blow out your entire repertoire.
I only got 3 stories.
Why not? Go for it. Go for it.
Can one more request then?
Yeah.
When the guy called in and accused you of outsourcing your service calls to India.
Oh, that one.
Oh my God. Yeah. Before I tell this story, I have to say, Stefano, when you listen to this podcast, I'm sorry.
Sorry to throw you under the bus.
That was me that rolled that bus over. But, we're at the same office actually. We're sitting there, and Stefano is Italian born. He's born in Treviso, Venice area in Italy. Grew up there, and his parents had got a divorce. Mom stayed in Treviso. Dad came to the U.S. from Venice and runs a real successful business here. The U.S. is an accounting firm.
He's right next door.
He's right next door to us. Actually, yeah.
Now, Stefano is your service tech.
Stefano is my service ticket. But at that time, he had just come. He'd come to the U.S. He'd got a job. It's kind of cool the way we met. I'll tell that another time. But he had actually was working with a computer cabling company. So we hired his company to come in and run our server lines over sealing and make sure he could put the stuff in. And he's there, and he goes, in school he actually had went to Friulmac as an internship.
Oh, yeah?
Out of trade school. Yeah, it was just a summer. So we're talking, I know Friulmac, and he started telling about all this. And I went, well, if you're interested, maybe we could bring him on board, and he wound up coming to work for us as a service technician.
For some reason, I thought he came from the factory.
No, he was here first because of his dad. He came with his dad.
Yeah, okay.
And his dad was our accountant.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how I hired him to do this job, because through his dad, somebody knows somebody that knows somebody.
Yeah, right.
Thing. And so he came in and we talked, and he was working for his dad too, and he and his dad love each other, but they don't work well together.
Oh, is that right?
So I think I did his dad a favor. Obviously,
take him off his hands.
Taking off his hands. But he come to work for us, and I don't know what happened to him. As an Italian, speaks perfect Italian, and understands English. He speaks 5 languages fluently.
Oh yeah.
Stefano's a brilliant guy. You guys don't know it, but for some reason, when he learned English, I guess the tape he must have bought must have been from India, because he's got a freaking Indian accent when he talks, especially on the phone. And I encourage you to call his cell phone sometime and listen to his voicemail. It's free. But it's hello, this is Stefano from. So this guy from Louisiana calls in from Lake Charles, already a Cajun accent anyway. So he calls in the office, and Stefano, sure as always, he picked up on, hello, this is Stefano with Friulmac Special Woodworking Machinery. May I help you? And the guy says, what? What the hell? And he just slams the phone down on him. And so Stefano's sitting across the table from me. He goes, that was weird. So also my cell phone rings, and this guy's calling me up, Joe, what the hell are you guys doing up there? I said, is Friulmac getting so big that you can't handle your own service? You're having to outsource all this shit to India? I'm going, dude, I promise you, Charlie. I said, this guy sitting across from me, that's bullshit. That was an Indian I was talking to. And I said, look, dude, I promise you, he's Italian. He sat across from me. He goes, no, you're lying. I said, Stefano. He goes, hello.
Good old Stefano.
Yeah. So if you get to listen to his voicemails, you'll appreciate that story even more. But,
Yeah. Does a good job for you.
yeah, I tell you, I don't know of anybody that takes more pride. That's one of his endearing qualities is we talk about give a shit. Dude, he's got that quality in spades. I mean, he'll stay there and do whatever he needs to do to get a job done, and he treats it like it's his own family name, and that's the way he treats it. So, yeah, we love the guy. And sorry I threw you under the bus, Stefano. I'll give you a Christmas present for it or something.
I know he doesn't like to get up early because the guys over here at Savoy, they had a little problem with him coming in. They wanted him there at like 6 in the morning or something like that.
I could tell you something funny about one of our customers over in Indiana. He paints with curse words like Da Vinci does in art. We all know who he is. So
we know.
Yeah, he came in and he showed up at 8 o'clock because he gets there at 8, and the guy says, our beep, 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 beep shift starts at 7. Why the hell are you coming here at 8 o'clock? Oh, but you don't understand. I have to have the breakfast. He goes, what? Well, they make the cookies, and I have to get the cookies for breakfast. And he looked at me and said, are you shitting me? So the customer calls me and it's to the point it's so funny. He's trying to be mad, but he's laughing his ass
Right. He didn't know which one he was going to do, right?
He comes over and goes, you believe what this MF just said to me? So that was 10 years ago. We still laugh about it even because he'll come in because he's bought, gosh, I don't know how much equipment he's bought from us through the years. And they love Stefano.
Multiple plants.
Yeah, he hangs the moon in their eyes. But he goes, I know you guys will be, but not Stefano because he has to have the cookies.
Does he let him come in still at 8, or did he make him come in?
He likes still coming in at 8 because he still likes the cookies.
He likes the cookies,
The breakfast at the hotel. But,
I didn't know they didn't make the cookies until 8 o'clock.
I think what's funny is I think they make the cookies at night. He takes them up.
They're left over from the night before.
But he comes and eats them with his breakfast when they start serving. And so he comes down at 7 and has his breakfast and gets ready, and he shows up at 8.
Well, I heard about it from Andy over here at Savoy, too. He's like, what the hell? I get here at 8 o'clock. Shit.
Yeah, the day's already gone.
Yeah, as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, and what's funny about it, he won't start early, but shit, he'll stay to 2 or 3 in the morning. He'll just stay all night long if you need him to.
Is that right?
Yeah, so, I mean, how do you bitch at a guy that says, you can't be there at 8, but, he don't leave
That's
at 5
the problem
either.
with most woodworkers. They get started like at 6, and then they're out of there at 4,
Yeah, he'll stay all night long.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But anyway.
Very important part of the company, Stefo.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I didn't know he spoke 5 languages.
Fluently. What will really blow your mind about him, you can have a guy speaking Spanish, have a guy speaking Portuguese, you can have a guy speaking English, Italian. I forget what his other one is, but all of you could be speaking your own native tongue, and he'll right on the dot. Yeah. He'll pick it up.
He can flip that quick.
He can flip that quick between. And dude, I have a problem with just people from Louisiana and North Carolina. Y'all probably have a problem with me. So
not so much you, but some of those
that can get
guys.
rough.
Oh my God, I'm amazed how.
Now, how did he go to school to learn that, or how did he learn?
No, grew up. Of course, Italian and English. They kind of teach you that. That's kind of the way it is. And then his stepmother is from Brazil, so she spoke Portuguese. And then Spanish and Italian's pretty close. So I'm not sure what forced him to do it, but he's completely fluent, which helps us in our business,
Sure.
especially down south.
Yeah, right.
And stuff. So he just picked that up, and his little brother Gabriel, he's as fluent as well. So
Wow.
Those kids that grew up there, I mean, we're blessed in the U.S. Basically we're 50 countries, but we all speak the same language.
That's right. That's right.
Or kind of like
A version of. Yeah.
But over there, I mean, their states, their countries are the size of our states, and
Right.
so you can drive 1 hour in any direction. They speak a different language.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But
They're almost forced to.
Yeah, it's incredible, and most of the people at Friulmac are like that. I mean, even speaks 7. Evelyn, she does 7. They go between German and French, and it's amazing to sit there and just listen. And so every time I talk about that, and I start thinking about some of the guys I work with, everybody gets on each other's nerves. And part of me wants to say, "Oh, that dumb ass," and I'm sitting there, "Nah, maybe he ain't. I'm the dumb ass.
Maybe it's me.
He's a hell of a lot smarter than I am. Maybe I need to reconsider before I say that out loud."
Well, they say surround yourself with people smarter than you.
Yeah, that's easy for me to do.
I'm in that boat too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think anybody got any other questions or any stories you want to hear from Mr. Hammock? Ryan's been awful quiet.
I have been quiet.
You haven't even picked on him through the whole podcast.
Nah.
Did that enough before we started.
Before the microphones got on.
Yeah,
huh?
I was still waiting on his accountants to change back to where I thought I could talk to him again. 'Cause he said hold his head down the whole time.
Still wiping the tears away.
Yeah, yeah. I won't call him out too much, but just so we can make a reference on the podcast, I kind of would have thought since one of his premier lines, the representative of that line was going to come in, I'd make sure I had something that said Friulmac, or maybe came in with just regular street clothes or something. No,
Plain
not this guy. He decides, nope, I'm going to wear somebody else's stuff in here, and I'm going to wear it proud. How y'all doing?
Right on the top of his head.
Right on the top of his head.
Well, it's on Cody now to get me some of that good Friulmac gear.
Yeah.
Well, no, Joe's not really looking for the gear. He wants orders.
Well,
So you have to go sell something.
We gotta go
for
sell
Friulmac.
something.
Yeah.
I don't know if Friulmac makes truck
That's
caps.
the only way. That's the only way he can pay you back. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll never forgive you until I get an order.
Better get out the door.
You can either follow or lead Cody.
Yeah, I was gonna say they can point to you to say whether they did Cody, right? All right. Well, I guess we're gonna have to get soon headed to the airport.
Yeah.
You and Chris heading back to North Carolina, try to beat the snow.
Yeah, I'm hoping it don't make it our way. I hope I'll just beat it out of
Yeah,
here.
we just got little flurries. I don't think we're getting anything.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be done after lunch.
Yeah.
Just the flurries. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to tell you how weak I am, but I'm actually allergic to that.
Snow.
That white stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute on postcards, but I don't like it in my yard.
When he called me yesterday and told me he was down at baggage claim, he said, "I'm waiting in here to see you pull up because I don't like the cold." And it was 46 degrees. I'm like, "What?"
This is a warm one.
Then you made him walk to dinner last night.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And it was colder. It was 35 degrees last
They're
night.
shivering.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
My preference is sandy beaches and 70 to 85 degrees and umbrella drinks. So
Yeah. That's kind of how this whole thing came together, right? The whole idea was that the kids can take over the business, right? Chris, Eric, and Sebastiano, who's not here, but that's Sergio's son. We take over the business so you guys can get together and drink cocktails and just collect a check.
yeah. And please don't forget the check.
We'll take care of the cocktail.
Yeah, well, I got the cocktail.
Sergio brought that up again today.
Yeah.
In the meeting.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's really as a dad and a legacy and stuff. I mean, everybody's not fortunate enough to work with their kids, and
yeah.
and Chris went somewhere else, and also my son Drew is working on the technical side. But it's kind of cool when that all comes together.
Sure.
But I was really glad they worked for somebody else first, so I didn't screw them up too bad. they find out what a real job's like, and they go, "Okay, I'm gonna work for Dad."
I guess I've been fortunate. I didn't screw him up. He
Yeah.
just told me what I was doing wrong.
Yeah.
He fixed it all. So.
Yeah, but it's kind of, in our industry as a whole, I'm I do some stuff on the industry as far as the whole industry panel and
Yeah.
stuff like that with the
The
WMIA and now the
WMIA.
WIA.
Right.
But it's kind of nice, most of the guys in that industry, unfortunately, are, white-haired old white guys that are
Yeah.
kind of getting
That's right.
older, and you start to look back and say, where are those 30 and 40-year-old guys behind us? And
Not a lot of them.
not a lot, but you start to see a few. I mean, there's some guys coming up, but it's kind of cool to have, your son, my son, Sergio's son, that actually took a real interest in what we do. And
Absolutely.
and the biggest thing, Chris told a little bit about why I brought him on, and we had somebody in the office that kind of embezzled from us and stole a little bit of money.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And he had an accounting background, so I'm thinking, at least I can trust this guy to manage the money.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got to worry about him stealing from me.
Right.
So that was his qualification, is I trust him. He's my kid, and I hope he can learn the business.
Right.
And he did. He's done really well. I'm really proud of him. But,
Good.
But he's, now that's next step. Like, we've got to teach him kind of what we do.
Sure.
And I think we got a number of years to do that. But, all of us have to kind of look what's after us.
Right.
If the industry is going to survive. And I think it is. It's a great industry.
Well, I think so. I mean,
some of the best people in the world are in this industry. In my
we got
opinion.
lots of wood in this country, and it's cyclical. They're going to that painted stuff now, but it'll be back.
Yeah. So.
And it's always going to be solid wood for flooring and moldings and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think so.
So they'll be doing a podcast, in 15 years, talking about these old guys.
Yeah.
I don't remember their name, but there's some
Well,
old guys here.
We have this link now. They can just call us while we're on the beach, and
Yeah.
we'll just talk to them on the podcast.
By then, we may have it in our glass, and we just look and say, take care of this. Elon's working on getting it. Sure we can do all that. So.
We're starting to see some younger faces in the industry.
They
right
really
now,
are.
though.
It's kind of nice to see.
It's awesome, is what it is. I mean, it's job security for me,
Yeah.
Eric, Chris, Ryan, Dean.
Yep.
I mean, Dean's bringing the average age in this whole room down quite significantly.
Well, even at Friulmac, that was kind of cool. If you look at the way they build their equipment and the way they do things, and tell me to shut up when I need to, because we'll keep talking. But
we can go.
but
We don't have to leave till 2:30, so we
Yeah.
got more time.
no, but it's kind of cool to see the older folks there, because we've got a long time frame of some of the older employees have been there for a long time. Friulmac's 60-some years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got some guys that are 30, 40, 50 years with
Which
the
is
company.
good. I mean, that's
But then you also look at some of our engineers and stuff in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s, working side by side with them. And so our average age is probably 40 at our factory. But it's kind of nice to see that, it's not, once we're done, we're closing the door. And
Right.
There's a bright future
sure.
for our company and also your company.
Yep.
And
And how old is Sebastiano? He's with you now. He's
yeah,
over
he's
here.
in
learning.
his mid-30s now too.
Okay.
Stefano is 39,
He's 40.
40.
40,
turned
yeah.
40.
Right.
Chris is 35. Cody's 35.
And you're 32,
33.
33. I lost
So-
a year.
Thanks.
Yeah, so we could have our hey, we could almost put together our 30 under 30 panel.
Yeah.
We got some
That's
guys
right. Yeah.
or 30 under 40,
40
40
under 40.
40.
Yeah.
We got some good candidates.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool to see. So
And Ryan, what are you?
28.
He didn't make the 30 yet.
yeah.
Don't ask
30.
Dean.
You were
Don't ask
you were
Dean.
28 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, they say your brain.
I
Yeah.
forgot them 3 years.
I feel bad about giving him a hard time now about his hat. I forgot your brain really don't start to help. He just ain't smart enough to sell my stuff.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
It's like, I thought we were wrapping this shit up like 5 minutes ago.
All right, time to prepare to fly out.
Ryan almost got out of here.
Yeah,
One more dig.
yeah.
Ryan will always be 12 in my heart.
He's like, didn't that flight say it was taking off early?
You have to snow. You guys might need to leave now. Oh, it's fun.
All right.
Very good.
Got anything else?
Official announcement coming soon. Website coming soon.
Yeah. Well, we'll do some publicity. I mean, it is official.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be making some statements. Probably see if we can get some magazines to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Do it on our website. So yeah, and then Cody's got to get to work.
So if any of you out there see Cody and he's sitting somewhere smoking or,
Holding up a
eating
light
a sandwich or leaning up against the side, say, "Hey, dude, you ain't got time for that.
Yeah,
shit.
get to work.
When you see him at Sheets,
Yeah.
Yeah. See him out front of Sheets with that cigarette, tell him to get his ass to work.
They don't have Sheets down south, so
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
do you?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're in
Yeah.
North Carolina.
They're growing down there.
Yeah. It's a
Starting
great
to.
store.
Yeah.
There's like 3
In
in our
Hickory.
surround.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Sheets. He needs the money.
Yeah.
Got to grow.
I'm glad I'm doing my part to help him out.
I heard when he built his house, it took 5 years to build it or something like that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The convenience store business is pretty good, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah. They're good stores, though. I like going in there. I don't even talk to anybody. I got that app. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Pay. Leave.
In and out.
In and out.
All right. On that note, let's go get a snack wrap.
Till next time.
Don't forget to support our buddies at Green Street Joinery by subscribing to the American Craftsman podcast and their new YouTube channel, Today's Craftsman. Both links in the description of today's podcast.